There's something about the power of heartbreak, of the power of loss. It's obsessive, self-consuming, and just completely fulfilling. An individual becomes so uniquely addicted to the idea of loneliness that it somehow becomes your partner that will never leave. That kind of obsessive love, whether it is for your sibling, for your parent, for your lover, it exists despite all of their indifference and completely without any reciprocation. And Gudiya Rani for me stemmed from that feeling of being in complete darkness, in complete submission, to be able to feel your pain because that's what gives you comfort. I remember when I was a child, I had this streak of dolls and I'd just crave or cry for a doll, and typically, in conservative Punjabi Sindhi families, that's not something they would usually encourage for a boy, but my parents were extremely indulgent. They've always been. So they'd let me pick a doll if I wanted to. And over time, it just so happened that I had collected over 100 dolls and I had this huge basket that I would take out, make their houses, dress them up, comb their hair. But largely, I think the idea of really loving another object or a person, on dressing them up and making them look beautiful, eventually manifested me into becoming a designer, and then from dressing dolls to now dressing brides. I think life has come a full circle. There are various names for it. You can call it Gudda Guddi, Gudiya, Gudiya Rani, your companion. What a doll truly represents for every child is a certain kind of a comfort blanket. Our collection is called Gudiya Rani. Rani because it almost signifies your bond and love to that little object that you almost feel has life in it. It's your person, it's your baby, it's your life. It's just a part of childhood where you are at your most vulnerable, you are at your most innocent best, when you look at life in the most purest of ways. Everything you see or touch or feel, your emotion is completely reflective. There is no filter, there is no manipulation. The inspirations for Torani travel far and beyond geographical borders, communities, and even identities. And this season, partly it was about dolls and a Gudiya, but it was also about Persian carpets. When I was young, I had neighbors who used to live up in the mountains, and every time they would travel back to Delhi, they would bring carpets back in their houses. And each time I would visit them, I'd see these beautiful motifs and get so intrigued, touching them, understanding them, because they were unlike anything I'd ever seen before. So each time we are doing our design board, you'll always find across all our seasons, there's always been an animal motif. It's, I think, the child in me which likes to find these little things within the garment, somewhere hidden or placed. And this season, I think, which is quite an iconic reference from everybody's childhood, which was Aladdin's Abu. So that, I think, as a character was a reminiscence which I wanted to add in our array of motifs through all the designs. So across the collection, you will find a monkey hidden in the borders, in the kalis, in the lehengas. My version of it is, we call it Mowgli at Torani. So you'll find that everywhere. Black is the most beautiful color there is, and I would use a darker color than black if there was. For this collection, it has and holds a lot of meaning. While the pairing of, say, certain colors looks so beautifully romantic, but I feel like there are certain things we just don't try because within the Indian subcontinents, we also come with so many diverse cultures which have their own limitations and certain kind of traditions which need to be followed. We've tried to break some boundaries with pairing a dark shade of maroon with a black and completely highlighting that with gold. When I say gold, this season we've really gone all out. You'll see a lot of gota work, a lot of badla, a lot of sequence work. It's completely been highlighted. You'll see saris which are completely sequined and embroidered with gota. You'll see a lehenga completely almost like dipped in gold. You'll see cholis which are embroidered and detailed with like gold laces, and even badla ornis and organzas which are signature to Torani now for a host of seasons. This season, what was also important for me was to bring out stories in fashion which probably is not acceptable. I know we've done that in the past, but this season I think we're really pushing the boundaries, going into more dark as a zone. You'll see romantic, gothic, Indian beauty going all out like never before. Our campaign is actually a personal story of the troubles of human mind in accepting truths. There's a lot of tragedy involved. There is a story of heartbreak and personal separation, all of that turning into a beautiful mystical horror story. And I hope our audience is able to differentiate between the product and the inspiration, and how important it was for us to be authentic to where it really came from and give it that onus and probably that due it deserved.
प्यारी गुड़िया है